Getting started with the ArchiCAD Interactive Training Guide. First, we will briefly go over how to set up the ArchiCAD training environment and how to use this interactive guide. Please install ArchiCAD by starting the installer executables and follow the instructions on the screen. Let's go through how you can personalize your ArchiCAD environment to help you complete the training exercises. After installing both ArchiCAD and the Interactive ArchiCAD Training Guide packages, simply double-click the ArchiCAD icon on your desktop to start the software. The ArchiCAD splash screen appears informing you about the ArchiCAD version you're using. Wait for the Start ArchiCAD dialog to appear. Here, first select the Open a Project option. Choose the Browse for a Project Now, but before hitting the Browse button at the bottom of the box, make sure that the Standard Profile 10 is selected from the Setup Work Environment menu. Now browse your local machine and select the AC10 Guide Chapter 1.pla file to make your first move into this training guide. Select the PLA file and hit the Open button to proceed. The Opening Archive Project dialog will ask you to decide on the library usage. Select the Read Elements Directly from the Archive option, which is best for completing the guide's exercises, and hit Open to proceed. ArchiCAD will now load up the preset project file of the first chapter. As you'll see, all the training guide files are preset to clear up a possible distraction from the training process. ArchiCAD will open with the standard work environment selected earlier. We strongly recommend that you complete this training guide using a 1280 by 960 or higher screen resolution, since all the exercises and display arrangements are optimized for this display. The default floor plan window will appear in the middle of your screen. You'll find the toolbox on the left side, the standard toolbar and the info box at the top of the screen, together with the main menu items of ArchiCAD. The standard toolbar lists the most widely used commands and operations. You can easily create, open, save, and print projects, and also copy or cut and paste elements, undo and redo actions, etc. All this in a familiar computer user environment. The toolbox contains all the design, documentation, and selection tools that you will need throughout the building design development. The names of these tools should already be familiar to you, since they all represent professional terms in building elements. The info box sits under the standard toolbar. Its content always changes, displaying model information and showing the editing options that relate to the tool which you have as active. It also shows editing options for the elements you've selected in your project. The Project Navigator hangs down the right side of the screen. The entire structure of your design project is accessible from this Navigator column. All the stories, sections, and elevations, details, 3D views, and element schedules are automatically listed here. This allows the architect to directly browse and access any project view or layout sheet in seconds. We will be using the Favorites palette throughout this guide, so let's get this on the screen. We need to go to the Window Palettes menu and click on Favorites to display this palette. As you can see, the Favorites palette appears immediately. Use the title bar area of the Favorites palette to move it around with your mouse. The Favorites list works like a standard web browser's record of favorite sites. In ArchiCAD, it lists various types of building elements with their predefined settings. We will use these preset elements throughout all the exercises, so you'll not need to redefine all the parameters. Move the Favorites towards the right side of the screen and resize the Navigator so that the Favorites palette fits underneath. Now we'll bring up two more palettes. These are the Coordinates and the Control Box. These aren't often used during exercises because ArchiCAD's Smart Tracker palette is always around to help with any numeric input. But naturally, some users feel more comfortable having coordinate values visible and close by throughout the design process. Let's stick both palettes at the bottom of the screen below the floor plan window. We are done with installation and housekeeping, and now we're ready to start exploring the guide. To start any of the chapters of this interactive training guide, first you'll need to open the ArchiCAD PLA file corresponding to the actual chapter as we did now. Now let's start up the ArchiCAD Movie Player from the Options menu. This movie player enables you to work on the actual project file and complete the necessary exercises while watching the actual exercise on the screen. The movie corresponding to the first step of every chapter is automatically loaded. All you need to do is to press the play button to start viewing the movie. As you may have already noticed, the movies have been created with the smart zooming option to ensure that the most relevant screen area is always visible in a larger scale. So even if you need to minimize the movie player window, all the most relevant information will still be visible. Of course, you can resize the player at any time and freely move its position on the screen. You can also pause and repeat parts or the entire step if necessary. Once the actual step is completed, the movie for the next step will be automatically loaded. You should now click the play button on the movie guide to start viewing the exercise. You are free to skip steps at any time. However, we recommend you proceed sequentially. In many ways, the exercises are linked to each other, so skipping a step may mean you can't complete the exercise because you've missed something crucial. Every exercise step has its equivalent preset view in the Navigator View Map palette. The movie will ask you at every step to activate, in other words double-click, the required preset view in the Navigator which relates to that step. To do this, first you need to make sure that the view map is activated in the Navigator. You need to open the ArchiCAD Guide folder in the View Map browser and open the chapter folder you are working on, then double-click the first entry here for the first step. This will immediately switch to the necessary preset project view, which will make your interaction with the model far easier and visually friendly. All you need to do is repeat exactly what you see in the movie, and naturally you can go back over any section you want or pause for thought at any time. Once you are done with one step, the next movie is loaded and you're asked to activate the next preset view in the Navigator, and so on. And again, the detailed content of every chapter and every exercise is also available in PDF form. You can use the PDF guide in conjunction with the movie if you prefer. We hope that you'll find this guide useful and you will share the experience of architects worldwide. ArchiCAD is easy to learn and fun to use. Of course, you can contact Graphisoft or its partners if you have further questions.